To join, and then we'll get up and running here and rolling here and talking about the do's, the don'ts, and the whys and the whatnots for later today. All right, so let's get to going and talking about what we need to talk about for today. All right, so today, of course, is Monday, May the 6th, 2024. And yet again, the region is under the gun for severe weather. Been a pretty active late April, early May weather pattern. Not a big surprise. We thought it might be. We've had a lot of rain as of late, a lot of storminess. Here in our part of the world, northwest Texas, southwest Oklahoma, while there's been some pretty significant severe weather, we've been lucky because we haven't seen the big severe weather event here. Just a couple. We were narrowly missed a week ago on a Saturday by some big time severe weather, and then we had the crazy weather up in Oklahoma last week, but mostly it's just been kind of just near misses for us, which that is usually the case in this part of the country for whatever reason. And today is probably going to be another one of those days where it is a near miss for us here in Northwest Texas and Southwest Oklahoma. Now I'm by no means am I letting the guard down. But I just want to, kind of try to break it down for you and tell you what the most likely scenario. If you watched me last week and if you've been following my post, I've kind of been saying that the main storm system itself is kind of northwest of us, up there into northern Oklahoma, central Oklahoma, Kansas. And that's probably where the bulk of the severe weather is going to be. But with that said, you can't rule out something isolated. All it would take is one storm and what looks like a really scary environment to produce something. But the chances for that happening, the further south you go, are becoming less and less likely. There appears to be at least a little cap, especially in North Texas, and with the main storm system itself passing northwest of us, there's not a whole lot of push to the atmosphere. You don't have a lot of what's called convergence along the dry line, so you probably don't see a lot of storms developing along yet. But like I said, all it takes is one, and that can make a really bad day for some people. So hopefully that does not happen. But of course, we'll be watching it just in case. All right, so let's get to it here and talk about what's going on with the scenario here this afternoon. So if we take a look, this is from the Storm Prediction Center. Now, I don't usually, I usually don't rely on the Storm Prediction Center for my forecast, but I'm going to show it to you this today anyway because it's just, because I think it's relevant at least to this stream here, what's going on. Because I think the Storm Prediction Center is pretty much right on the money with this one here. Sometimes I don't totally agree with them, but I do agree with them on this one here. So let's, at least some of it. So let's kind of expand this a little bit so maybe you can see it. So if you take a look here, very rare. All right, so let me kind of start. This is called convective outlooks from the Storm Prediction Center. Like I said, I just use this as a guidance only. This is not based upon my forecast here. This is from the guys up there in Norman. Throughout the year, you'll see several different categorical risk that'll come out for severe weather. They go as from level one, which this is where I think it's confusing. Is level one is called marginal, which to me that's all right. Level two would be called slight. Level three is called enhanced. Level four is moderate. 5 would be high. Throughout the year, you're going to see pretty much on a daily basis, you'll see somewhere between marginal and slight, especially spring, summer months, and sometimes over in the fall, sometimes even winter too. Occasionally, you'll see them go, several times a year we'll go with the enhanced level 3. That's usually, more significant severe weather cases. And a few times a year, you'll see them go what's called moderate level 4. That's usually for, higher end severe weather cases. But very rarely do you ever see them go what's called high risk. High risk would be reserved for, a situation where, forecasters are more confident in severe weather with higher end parameters like usually they reserve high risk for either a major wind incident or a big tornado outbreak. Last time, I think it's been several years since there's been a high risk, but there's a high risk up in Oklahoma. Basically, it goes from Interstate 44 northward. Goes up there into southern Kansas. So basically included in that high risk would be Oklahoma City, would be places like Enid, Oklahoma, Ponca City, Oklahoma, up to about Wichita, Kansas, probably just east of Woodward, Oklahoma. El Reno, Oklahoma, Mustang, Oklahoma would be in on that. This is north of Lawton and Fort Sill, barely north of Chickasha, I believe, Oklahoma. Now, if you look, that level 4 goes down to southern Oklahoma, and you even see the slight risk and the other smaller, lower levels down into North Texas. But I don't know that we even see a drop of rain today in North Texas. Now, you get north of the Red River, maybe a slightly better chance, but if I say North Texas, I do mean you, Lawton. I do mean you, Burkburnett. I do mean you, Wichita Falls, and all points. If you live in North Texas, I don't think you see much rain today. You might even see a drop of rain today, and I don't think the severe weather threat down our way is all that high. But you jump on the other side of the Red River, and it begins to go up, especially the further north you go up in Oklahoma. So let's take a look at some weather data here now. Let me have to resize this some. There it is. That's what I want right there. So this is what's called the significant tornado parameter, okay? And when I show you this shows an atmosphere. It's basically just a model that just kind of lumps everything into one model is what it does. It takes all these different things that might be favorable for tornadoes and puts it into one model. So we're talking about, when you look at significant tornado parameters, these would be the parameters favorable for more significant severe weather and tornadoes. That means plenty of moisture, plenty of instability or cape in the atmosphere. It also shows where there is a lot of turn, a lot of spin in the atmosphere too. And the stronger that spin, the more likely it is for storms that are supercellular to produce tornadoes. So if you take a look, you're going to see some pretty scary, pretty bright numbers starting to show up. This would be, right around 5, 6, 7 o'clock. You can see these really high values down here, southern and central Oklahoma, down into North Texas. Look at all those guys. I mean, that's some significant numbers there. And it even goes higher into the evening. And that's because there is so much tropical moisture coming into place. We're talking about dew points in the low to mid 70s this evening. That is like being in the tropics in Oklahoma. You don't see that but a couple times a year. Maybe it's been a long time since we've seen that here, actually. You take that, combine that with some strengthening winds in the lowest levels of the atmosphere, and it creates even extra strong turn. So if you could theoretically get a storm into this environment down here, I'm talking about southern Oklahoma, central Oklahoma, North Texas, then you get a much greater chance for seeing a tornado with that. I mean, storms that can feed in that environment would probably produce something. But remember, for that to even mean anything, look at those numbers, it's really spiking, 9, 10 o'clock. But for those numbers to really mean anything, you have to have thunderstorms. But remember what I said, your main storm system's going up here into Oklahoma, northwest Oklahoma and Kansas. So that's where your bulk of your everything's going to be. But the big question is, will there be anything that can get popping down here on that dry line? Typically speaking, you want to get thunderstorms along the dry line. You got to have some way to force the air up along it too. And you got to have some type of a push. But the dry line is kind of sitting still. It's not going to move much. This is moisture. This is dew point. You can see it tries to move a little bit in the early afternoon and it stalls. Pretty sharp dry line. Now, sometimes this can create a circulation. You can get an isolated storm along it. But I just don't know that we're going to see much. Look at those high moisture. The dew point's at the 73, 70. It's going to be muggy out there tonight. Then tomorrow, the dry line finally pushes on through with a little front. It may be some fluctuations from time to time into Wednesday with that. But boy, I say, that is a humid air mass tonight, folks. But again, like I was saying a moment ago, it doesn't matter. What all that looks like, that doesn't make a hill of beans if you don't have storms. And this is what radar might look like. Now, this is something that the models have been doing. They've been trying to develop, by mid-afternoon, a little swath of some supercells along, just west of I-35. Now, this would be mostly up in Oklahoma. This would be kind of open, warm sector stuff away from the dry lines. I don't know that would be sustainable. That's probably from all that moisture increasing. But these would be. There's your storms there. That's your storms along that dry line there. Notice how they're maybe down into southwest Oklahoma, but they're mostly there in west central Oklahoma and up there into Kansas. These storms here initially, it isn't going to take them long to produce tornadoes, I don't think, up in Oklahoma. I think they're going to produce pretty fast, especially if they can last into the evening. I mean, you can see these cells kind of staying north of Oklahoma City. These are probably, some at least produce a couple tornadoes by now. Now, if they line up if they line up lining out later on this evening, then that'll lower the tornado threats. But you can see how that stays mostly up Oklahoma City and northward. Now, you do see a little line try to develop down into southern Oklahoma. Now, that's the early morning run of the HRRR computer model. So those would be probably that's where your high risk is. Let's look at the latest run. What you want to do now with the HRRR is you want to look at trends. This is an hour-by-hour model. It usually is pretty good. Sometimes it'll miss, but usually it doesn't. So again, this will be the I guess this would be the 9 a.m. version of it. So you can see storms there, northeast Texas. Maybe something isolated down our way, but nothing. So there's your severe weather though along the dry line there, southwest Oklahoma, all the way up into Kansas. That's your tornado outbreak there. Especially if these storms can remain supercellular. But if they wind up clustering up, that lowers the chance for that to happen. But at least initially, it could be pretty rowdy up there. So that was let's see if there's a new run. All right, here's the newest run that just came. This would be the 9 a.m. version, the 10 a.m. version of it actually. So this isn't all the way out yet. So there again, there's that little band of mid-afternoon thunderstorms developing. Those could be severe too. I don't know how long they'll sustain themselves. And then there's your dry line stuff. And this would be, what would this be? This would be about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon here. But notice how that just stays up there. The latest runs are kind of linear too. So, I mean, that would lower your tornado threat as well if that happened. But I'm saying Wichita, Kansas, down to, maybe Tulsa, Ponca City. Keep an eye on those things. Those things could be, they could be pretty nasty. And especially these early, if those early supercells can maintain themselves, they would be too. So there could be at least isolated stuff down into North Texas, but I think the severe weather event is going to be north of us. So I will show you this. This is the 3K NAM model, and I'm not a big NAM guy, but sometimes it'll get stuff right. It does show, some storms down into, Chickasha and down into the Lawton area, a cluster of something there. But notice how that stays north of the Red River. So, nothing down our way. So with all that said, I know there's a lot of guys. I was just screaming, just scrolling through. I was just scrolling through TikTok a little while ago, and it was, there was some dude on there screaming tornadoes on there. The dude, it looked like he just got out of bed. Of course, I just got out of bed, but it looked like the dude ain't had a bath in months and screaming tornadoes on there. I'm like, this dude needs to just shut up. Crazy. So, I mean, that's going to be out there, though. There's nothing I can do about it. So, yeah. All right. So, Megan, please be careful about trusting those people. Most of these people there's a couple things that they're doing. Number one, most of these people are not meteorologists. They're not trained weather people. They're these idiots on social media. And there's a bunch of them out there. You know me. There's a bunch of them out there. And unfortunately, people fall for it hook, line, and sinker. The Storm Prediction Center does have that tornado zone down into our area, but you got to have storms. And there's really nothing that shows storms here today. I mean, there's a chance something could pop, but I mean, the chances are really low. I'm not too worried about it, honestly. We'll watch it and see. I just don't think so. Well, I mean, the problem with that is they're really annoying. They annoy the shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie. Oh man, it's just so bad. It's gotten so bad. I actually had lunch with a friend yesterday, and he's like, if you're not doing that, if you're not on there yelling and screaming and hyping up everything, you're getting left behind. Because those people out there, because the algorithms like it and people believe them. But, they're really lying. They're really lying to you is what they're doing. They're lying so you'll get your likes and clicks and follows, because whenever they get all that, they make money off of it. The algorithm in TikTok and Facebook, when you start interacting with it, starts to pushing it out more. The more views it gets, the more money they make. So they're doing it to make money. They're doing it. And unfortunately, the public falls for it hook, line. There's just one guy out there who's just absolutely annoying. And that dude, all he does is just screams and yells, weather or news, and he barely can talk as it is. He just awful, awful. And he's mean, and most of those guys are real mean and rude anyway. But they got 10 times the followers I do, so maybe I should just join them. You know, my buddy told me, you might as well just join them. I was like, I don't know, man. That's just against my ethics. So, but anyway. I mean, you know, the chances for a cat breakdown here are just so low. There's just nothing really to push it. So I just don't know. I mean, I'm not going to totally rule it out, but I just don't think so. Honestly, I don't. I'd be surprised. I think the one I'm thinking of is, I think his name's Austin Ayers or something like that. That Max Velocity guy in North Texas is just as bad. So he's bad too. His forecasts are bad. I mean, if he sees me saying this, he'll start getting his feelings hurt, and he'll start starts getting ugly with you. So probably not Monica. I'm not thinking so. This guy Espinoza. I mean, dude, I'm telling you, every time I scroll through TikTok these days, I'm just seeing it's all this nonsense on there, and it just gets worse. And it's news too. There are people on there that claim, sources tell me that the nukes are about to drop out of the sky, and they're not. So, yeah, Vernon, I think you're going to be all right too. I think we're going to be okay in North Texas. So we're going to watch Southern Oklahoma to be careful. But I think the biggest stuff, West Central Oklahoma, and then kind of up there in Northwestern Oklahoma. Yeah, Tiffany, it's always nice to be good to be prepared just in case something does. Your chances in Southern Oklahoma up towards Duncan are a little bit better than down here in North Texas, but it's a chance you may miss out too. So, I tell you, these big systems, these big scary systems like this, very rarely ever produce in this part of it. Very rarely produce down here. It's usually the small scale things that produce here versus the big scale stuff. Because it's always something that's missing. It's either, the dry line's too far east, too far west, or the push in the atmosphere is a little bit too far to the north. I never thought this would look that great for us, though. Well, it just depends on when you leave to go. If you left right now, you'd be fine. Well, good, because there's a lot of nonsense on social media. So, a lot of nonsense. And TikTok's the main one. I mean, it really is. And this all got started with Ryan Hall. He's the one that started all of this. Now, I think he's got a good streaming platform. Don't get me wrong. But, he has a tendency to be kind of snappy and rude too. And I don't think he's that good of a forecaster. He's, he can understand what he's having to say, and like I say, his coverage is pretty good. But he's one of the main hype guys out there. And he's one of the main reasons you see all these people who are not even meteorologists, basically have copycatted his formula. I refuse to succumb to that. Who's your local weatherman? Yeah, you're probably right on that. The soap operas. You're right. So, all right. Well, guys, I don't really have anything else left to add to this. I mean, we will do another update probably on my social media platforms coming up here. All right. So I will give this to old Max Velocity. I'll give this to him. All right. He did catch that. He had a good stream with the tornadoes the other day. But basically he's just copying Ryan Hall's all he's doing. He's copying that. He's got a good following. But if it's the guy I'm thinking of, his forecasts are really bad, and he's very rude, so I don't like him. And I guarantee you, if he heard me saying that, he'd be starting to say a bunch of bad. That's fine. He can. I don't care. But, I've got the skins on the wall. I've been doing this a long time. I feel like I can snap at these guys a little bit. It's not going to hurt anything. I mean, personally, I don't have anything against them, but I just think their forecasting is really bad. So, No, I don't think so, Candy. I think everything's gonna be well north of you. Glad you told old Max off. That's funny. He's making money off this too, so that's why he's doing it. Yep, that's all he is. That's all he's in it for the money. That is it. He's not in it for the knowledge. He's not in it to help you guys with storm. You know, I'm trying to combat these guys to give you all these storm anxiety. And you know, it doesn't do me. It's probably not doing me any good because I mean I've got a very small following compared to these other dudes. But yeah, I feel like I just need to really start stepping up my game some to try to start combating some of this nonsense. But end of the day, I just don't know that I'm gonna be able to do much with it. So maybe in my little small part of the world, that's about it. Elgin, Oklahoma Lawton. I'm watching you a little bit more closely. Slightly better chance up your way, but there's a chance it all may stay north of you too. I think Wichita's okay in a shell white. I'm hot. I need to turn my AC on. Give me a second here. I'm hot in here. I've actually got some stuff to do before I go to work, so I might have to get on here in just a minute and get to work. Dang, it's 74 degrees in my house. I don't like it to be that warm. I want it to be a little bit warm, a little bit cooler than that. So, you know, Alexis, there's some good guys up there. There really are. You know, in general, Damon Lane's really good. But I don't know, you know, he's kind of starting to fall a little. I think I've seen some of his posts too. He kind of falls a little victim to some of that as well sometimes. But you know, there is one guy up there that dude hypes up everything and for no reason most of the time. But you know, he gets away with it. I don't know how he does it, but he does. His forecast, unless he's just doing it just to try to, you know, get likes and shares and whatnot, his forecasts are really bad sometimes. I don't know how he got that job in Oklahoma City. I really don't. Not with some of the forecasts I've seen him put out there that have been just awful. I don't know David Payne, but I think that he's okay. I think that he's probably an okay, you know, weather person up there. Like I say, the only one I do know is Damon. Yeah, you can't beat TikTok anymore. I mean, I was scrolling through. There's these idiots on TikTok that believe that the world is flat. I mean, you cannot convince them otherwise. They got to follow them. It's like a cult following. You can't convince them. Nope. They say that everything, the stars and all that at night are being projected by NASA and all that's false and fake and just, oh my gosh, it's just so bad. I mean, I just believe that sometimes that social media has made us dumber as a society. I really do. Hey, baby. Oh, my dogs. Oh, you're muddy. No. Oh, I'm ready for I'm ready for the rain to stop. My dogs are coming in muddy. All right. Well, I'm jumping off. I got some stuff to go do. I'm going to do a quick update on the Tikataka, and then try to see if I can't stir up some noise over there real fast. So I'm gonna jump off of here. I'll be in work today though, and I'll do some. I will do some updates again coming up. You know, this afternoon. I do not anticipate any big changes though to our forecast. I think what we're seeing now is probably about right.